Rough Trade is giving away a third of the first 3 months of the Rough Trade Club plus new music membership exclusively to 101 Part-Time Jobs listeners. Become a member of Rough Trade Club New Music and you'll receive the Rough Trade Album of the Month straight to your door every month on an exclusive vinyl pressing with bonus material. Club members have received exclusive pressings of albums from Sufjan Stevens, Sprints, The Last Dinner Party, English Teacher, and Over Mono, just to name a few, this past year alone. Sign up using the promo code CLUB101POD and you'll get Rough Trade's Album of the Month, Camera Obscura's Look to the East, Look to the West for a third of the usual price. By signing up, you'll be getting Rough Trade's exclusive issue of the album on opaque purple in a gatefold sleeve, plus a bonus CD containing 5 demos. Don't want the album of the month but still want all the benefits? Sign up to the standard tier using Club 101 Pod and you'll still get the first month free. You'll also get free shipping on all orders, 10% off at the bar and on secondhand vinyl in store, and exclusive access to sold out Rough Trade events. So don't hang around. Head to roughtrade.com/club and sign up with the code CLUB101POD. That's CLUB101POD and claim money off Rough Trade's Album of the Month today. This offer is for UK residents only. Do you play in bands? I did for the longest time. And I wish that I knew that DistroKid was a thing. I don't even think it existed back then. DistroKid makes music distribution fun and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of your royalties and earnings. 1 million plus artists rely on DistroKid to get their music on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all the major streaming services. When you get DistroKid, you can see a DistroKid bank and withdraw your earnings. You get notified when you've earned royalties and you can withdraw via the app. And you can even check your streaming stats on Spotify and Apple. Get 30% off your first year on DistroKid by going to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. 30% off for your first year. That's not bad. We know it's a tough world out there. Why don't you make it easier for yourself? And to get 30% off that free year as an artist, where you get 100% of your royalties and earnings, go to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. All right, stay with me. I'll be right back after this.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, Rose, and I think a little fear. Really? But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's gonna be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
I'm 100, I want part-time jobs. I'm 100, I want part-time jobs. I've been working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 101, 101. All right, you're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs. I'm Giles Bidder, and I speak to bands and artists about how they make it work. It's not easy to be a sustainable band and artist, and I want to get those stories of the day-to-days of it, the reality of what it means to be an artist today. On today's episode, we hear from Conor O'Brien from Villagers, just released their brilliant 7th album, That Golden Time. Conor wanted to make it a really intimate sounding record. He didn't even want anyone else involved in the project until the very end times of mixing and mastering, where he really had to. These songs are so personal, and as we hear on this chat, a lot of what we hear wasn't really intended to be on the finished record. That Golden Time is out now. Conor and the band are going on tour at the end of the month, going to Europe before coming back to the UK. And in June, they'll be playing in Newcastle, Leeds, London, and a Black Deer Festival, and then Dublin at Trinity College. A few other shows scattered around this summer. If you're able to see Villagers, I highly recommend it. They're an incredible band to see. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoy it, make sure you subscribe. And if you've got 30 seconds to leave a review, that would be incredibly helpful for us. Thank you. 2000 Trees is our sponsor. They're a brilliant independent medium-sized festival in Cheltenham, down towards the southwest. This year, the Gaslight Anthem, The Chats, and Don Broco are headlining. Manchester Orchestra, Hot Mulligan, Nova Twins, Crawlers, loads of brilliant bands at 2000 Trees. As always, it's the 10th to the 13th of July. If you'd like to go, you can get your tickets from 2000trees.co.uk, and if you use the voucher code 101pod, you can get 50 quid off your weekend ticket. That's at 2000trees.co.uk. All right, we got Conor of Villagers here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. 101 Part-Time Jobs.
I think it's all about priorities, really, and you can build your life around a really specific focus, you know. And for me, my life is quite clearly built around writing, and often failing to write, actually. Yeah, there's a lot of 90% of it is kind of like not getting anything, but at least you're kind of showing up and continuing that kind of journey, you know. I often feel like I've got sort of two lives, you know. I've kind of got my normal external social everyday life, and then I've kind of got this internal journey that is just constantly developing and building on its previous kind of work, you know. And I've always had that, even when I was a terrible waiter in a cafe in my hometown, or when I was, you know, working in an office of a bank, and I was always just closing my eyes and kind of writing, really, you know. And that was the fun part of it for me. There was always this other journey going on, regardless of how, you know, regardless of how much I wanted to leave my physical environment or whatever, you know.
And where do you think that kind of inner sort of journey started? Was it like a film or like a record that you heard when you were a bit younger, and it was the start, it pushed you into this, you know, realm of imagination?
Yeah, I specifically remember it actually when I was about, I'd say about 4. I have a very strong memory of being in the cinema with my mother, my dear mother, and she brought me to see An American Tale, which is the Don Bluth cartoon, which is kind of about Russian mice emigrating to the United States and thinking it was going to be a perfect place, and suddenly they realized there are cats there too. And the music is just phenomenal in that film. I still love it to this day. I still actually listen to the soundtrack still. But I just remember bursting into tears in the cinema and really, really getting taken over by the chord changes and the melodies of the music, and singing it for years afterwards, you know. And that was the beginning for me. I remember thinking, I want to live inside whatever that emotion was, you know, that kind of crazy emotion. So yeah,
and that wasn't a choice, you know. It's sort of probably like a chance visiting or a chance viewing, your mum taking you to that. You know, it kind of makes you aware of the kind of chaos of it all and the unpredictability.
Yeah. It definitely feels like it's chosen me, for sure. I've actually gotten really into you've sort of hit on a theme, which I've gotten really into the idea of free will in the past couple of years, and sort of been reading various kind of philosophers' ideas about it and stuff. And the point when I feel, I mean, I'm kind of undecided about the whole issue, but when I really feel like there's no such thing as free will is when I'm deep in a creative the whirlwind, you know. I really just feel like the art and the music is pulling me along in some strange direction that I just can't control, kind of thing. So yeah, there's something in that. I think there's something sacred about music, you know.
I think we all have a few moments in our lives where there's a shift, something changes. And in my experience, when those big things happen, you do not feel in control. You unequivocally do not feel in control, which is a bizarre thing, because we think that we are in control.
For sure. Yeah. We like to maintain that illusion.
This new record, Conor, is awesome. It's so great. It's really like entering a world. It's like it's like falling on a blanket. My happy place is, and I'm not even a big football fan, but sitting on the sofa on a Saturday afternoon watching the football, that's my happy place, where I just kind of don't need to think about anything. That, you know, that's my time. And that's that's the feeling of a Villagers record for me, is that you do kind of sit on this kind of magic carpet, really, without sounding totally cheeseball. And you kind of get taken to different places. And I realize I'm just telling you what I think about the record and how much I enjoy it. But, you know, are you aware of that? Do you go to those kinds of places yourself when writing?
Yeah, totally. Like, to me, when I feel like I've successfully created something, you know, which I feel like I want to share with people, it's always when it's taken me somewhere off the path. So I might begin with an idea, and I always know that if it ends up somewhere completely different, then I've probably succeeded, you know. So it's more than the sum of its parts, really. I think when you're writing a good song, you know, when I fail at writing songs, I've usually succeeded in the original plan. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a strange. So you can never quite pin it down, the process, because it has to surprise you. Yeah. You know, if it doesn't surprise you, then there's no point, really, you know, because you're finding something in a strange way. I always think of that kind of there's that kind of funny idea of, you know, a sculpture is a good sculptor is someone who is just basically chipping away at whatever's in the way of the sculpture, which has always been inside. You know, that's kind of the feeling I have about songwriting, really. You know, that's kind of the aim, anyway.
Find it so interesting that in the kind of craft of creating something, you try to not look at it directly. You know, you try to look at the sort of the orb of it rather than the actual shape.
Interesting. Yeah, for sure. Like squinting your eyes on a sunny day.
Yeah, it's fun.
Looking at your friends doing cartwheels in the grass.
I wish. I had my first barbecue at the weekend.
Oh, nice.
With my dad, which was awesome.
I do like a barbecue, although I'm a pescatarian, so I'm not the greatest barbecuer. But
you turn up with the fish. You're the smelly guy.
I'm one of those annoying people. You have to have like a separate barbecue in the corner, you know, for me. Just for me.
Me to bring the tin foil for you, so you can do the fish in it.
And the tin foil hat as well. I do that one too.
101 part-time jobs. 101 part-time jobs. You made this record alone. Fever Dreams, band effort, pretty psychedelic, lots going on there, lots of instruments in there. This record, you didn't want to even show it to anyone until the very end of the process of mixing and mastering. Right. How did that feel? Was that because was that a surprise to yourself? It doesn't sound like the kind of thing that, you know, you planned to do.
It wasn't planned. No, it's never really planned. I had decided early on that I was going to do another band record, which, so it obviously wasn't planned, because that's the complete opposite of what happened. So I just kept working. What you basically are hearing when you listen to this new album, That Golden Time, you're hearing my demos, really. You're hearing the original takes of the vocals. Some of the vocal takes are scratch takes that I was really not focusing too much on as kind of the end product, and I just kept them because they sounded natural and a couple of the tunes, I recorded the vocals over a completely different chord sequences, which were just happened to be in the same key. And then as the song progressed, the chords changed. But I liked the vocal take so much, I just thought, "Ah, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep it." So there's lots of a lot of Donal Lunny, who plays Bazooki. He's an absolute legend. They're his first takes as well. They're just his first. It was absolutely disgusting. He just he just came in and just played, and that's it. That's what you're hearing. And then we went for food and wine, and
Yeah.
that was it. So it's all very kind of fresh, which is quite exciting, because when we're rehearsing the songs now for the live shows, it's they're already developing. They're kind of doing what would have been done if I had brought it to the band and played it, with for the album kind of thing. But that's happening. That'll be happening on stages in front of people on this Villages tour, which is quite exciting, I think.
One of the most captivating things about that is, even though they're demos and they're parts that weren't, necessarily thought, okay, we're going to make the final take, they hit just as hard, if not harder, than the songs and the previous records that were intentional.
Well, that's music to my ears. I often find that, like, what I do with songs is that I kind of create them within I guess like a kind of a genre exercise. So if I hear a song that I really like on the radio or whatever, I might copy that song. If it's a country song or a pop song, I might just do my own version of it. And through doing that, I'll find words that are kind of interesting, but I won't be taking it very seriously, And then at the end of the process, I'll have all these words, and I'll realize that the music is just not doing enough for them. So then I'll start creating the musical backdrop to those words, kind of thing. So there's a funny layering kind of system to a lot of what I'm doing in these songs, really. Yeah.
I find it interesting, that kind of relationship between humor and seriousness or earnestness. The way that you could be a sociable person, that you go out with your friends, you have fun, you have a laugh, you've got a real sense of humor, and then when you write, you can write about serious subjects, and they're
tragicomedy. Well, that's it. I mean, music is something not to be precious about, and that's actually one of my great sort of what's the word? It's very easy for me to be quite precious about music, and I have been in the past. And I think getting that little bit older and continuing to do this Villages project for, over, I guess, 15 years now, or whatever, 14 years. I'm losing that preciousness, which I quite like, because, life kicks you in the ass over and over again. And, and one of the great things about that is the fact that you develop your sense of humor, really, about things. And there's some ridiculous lyrics on this album, like ridiculous, absolutely stupid. You can't take them too seriously. There's one song, "I Want What I Don't Need," where it says, "In the future, I'll get better at buying shares and growing fat. And when there's less to share and I've gone to seed, I'll still want what I don't need." And that's just ridiculous. I was laughing writing those lyrics. But at the same time, there's a lot of depth to be found in humor, because if you're not laughing at things, then what are you doing, Mm-hmm. Are you just mulling them over in a very serious way, over kind of sensationalizing everything in your mind? And I also think these days with the internet, there's a lot of kind of weird extremist thinking is kind of rewarded, I guess, by the algorithms and stuff. So music and art is a good place to remind yourself to kind of laugh at yourself every now and again, and don't take yourself too serious.
13, 14 years playing music. All musicians have worked side jobs. I'm not sure if you've seen the Guardian articles that have come out over the last 2 weeks, and they're basically saying, if you're working class or anything less than kind of upper echelon, high, where your parents can give you £10,000 or something, that it's really hard to make a career in music, and it's only going to get worse.
Wow.
I guess when you started your career, 2008, there was that time, probably that was the sort of period of time where the last kind of record deals were happening where like there were advances from the record deal, not just the publishing.
Yeah.
What's your story been like in terms of, and I'm not going to ask you to reveal your bank account, but what's your story been with balancing finances?
I had this big thing where I was a house painter. So I've painted lots of people's houses, and it was a real kind of word of mouth thing in South Dublin, where I'm from. And so I did that a lot when I was in school and in college as well. When I was in university, I was living in my parents' house, painting houses, and then doing the odd stint in a bank, in an office of a bank. I once processed Ronan Keating's check. That's my claim to fame. Could have been any Ronan Keating, but I just decided it was the Ronan Keating. That excited me greatly for at least 2 weeks. So I was balancing, I guess, university, the odd jobs, and writing obsessively, with hangovers and all that stuff. But we were also quite, I guess Villagers not Villagers, my previous band, The Immediate, we caught the tail end of that record industry thing when there was still a lot of money flowing around and it was being thrown at bands. So we got, offered I think we went to a place in Surrey, and I think the record label spent 50 grand on recording us in this swimming pool, gorgeous house in Surrey where like the Smiths had recorded and Block Party had recorded, and we were just like, I guess this is it. I guess this is what we do now, And then the album comes out and no one buys it, and we're brought right back down to earth again, which was quite funny. But so yeah, I've kind of seen, by the time Villagers came around, I'd sort of seen all of those sides, to the record industry, and I was already semi-hardened by it all, which was an interesting way to begin a journey, I suppose,
Yeah, you're knowledgeable. You kind of understand the lay of the land a bit more, and because I think the music industry, and we know this as fans now, because it's more transparent than I think it's ever been before. Where you'll learn about, if you're a casual fan of an artist, you will read in a feature or an article about the deal that they got, or whether it's a 360 deal, whatever. Maybe they do their own record label. That stuff's all more transparent now, which is an interesting thing to go against, with the industry, the music industry. There is no HR department. There is no specific way of doing it. Everyone, even the people at the top of the big labels, I think it's fair to say everyone's kind of guessing what the next thing that will work is, and then so from bottom down, it's kind of people guessing about how to do it.
Yeah, everyone's just scrambling around, just not knowing I get that feeling actually, because especially with the social media side of things, I get this sense that, label people and also companies that are hired to do that kind of thing, the social media aspect with bands, they're just trying to figure out what the next thing will be and how to kind of garner the most appreciation for posts and things. And because everything changes so fast, in terms of the power dynamics of that world, I think everyone's just headless chickens. Everyone's just running around going, let's try this, let's do this. And it seems quite chaotic at the moment, actually. I think because of the times we're living in, and because we're at the cusp of so many new technologies, and we're still at the dawn of this internet age. I think everyone's still figuring out how the hell to integrate it into their human lives, before we all become half robot.
Because it feels nascent, doesn't it? I sometimes get to the end of my day of manual life, of real, skin and bone life, and then think, oh, I haven't posted that thing that I meant to post. And then you have to switch brains. You have to go from brain A to brain B.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we're currently on an in-store tour. I'm playing record stores at the moment, plugging my new record, and that
golden
there's
time.
just a feeling of like, if I haven't posted a video from that record store, did it even happen? I don't know. Did I meet those people?
Yeah. Does it come naturally to you to capture stuff on your phone and write captions and be able to let your personality?
Yeah, I've become the content king. I'm the content, the content king now. Doesn't matter what content, just content. Go, go, go. Yeah.
Again, it's something you can bring humor into. I've been doing I haven't done it in a little while, but I have my fake radio show, Radio Garb, where I introduce fictitious bands and their fictitious new records.
Oh, right.
And that's quite like a fun way to sort of like get around it, in a way that I find funny, at least.
Do you actually create the music for the fictitious bands, or no? Introduce them.
Yeah, I introduce them with some like King Tubby reggae in the background, like Steve Lamacq would.
Nice.
What's exciting you at the moment, with the record? I mean, we're here now talking because of the record, and you're on the record store tour, and it's a lot going on. It's a lot of villages, it's a lot of that golden time. What do you do to turn off from that? What do you do to touch the grass?
Physical activity for me, it's such a cliche. It's very boring to say, but I find it's become quite a spiritual pursuit for me. Actually, I've started becoming that guy that I sort of feel like if you're not worn out by the end of the day, then you haven't really used the day well enough. But the problem is, knowing me, at the moment I'm quite fit in relation to like my previous lives. But knowing me, I'll probably go the opposite direction in about 3 months and just become, a party boy again. But right now I'm very much into the kind of, the kind of teetotal kind of gym rat kind of existence. So that's my thing. Yeah, and getting outside as much as possible and getting some vitamin D into my skin.
That's it. Are you taking the vitamin D tablets? The 3,000?
No, I'm just getting out and getting that sweet UK and Ireland sun.
I know too
every
well.
7 days or whatever.
Hey, Conor, great to chat. You got the gym to get to. I don't want to. Thanks so much for the chat. The records are awesome, and it's great hearing these kinds of stories that maybe we don't get to hear these stories all the time, because a lot of it's usually about the record or reviews, that kind of thing. So I love these kinds of things.
Thanks for having me. Nice one, thank you.
Of course, I've got one last question. If you'd be up for entertaining me, is I'm a big fan of the work fuck up, the work gaff, and dropping plates as a waiter, or bad communication in the workplace that leads to errors. I've got many myself. I worked as a labourer for a little bit, and I just said, yes, I know how to use that. And I did not know how to use that big saw, and I did not know how to do that thing.
Dangerous, man.
Very dangerous, but I'm life on the edge, man. I'm just like full send, but also stupid. I was like, have you got any memorable work gaffes that are kind of dinner time story tales that maybe aren't too naughty, but they can be as naughty as you like? But
I remember working in a cafe in Dunleary, which is my hometown. It's like a little seaside town in South Dublin County, and they used to, for some reason, it was a bit of a disaster, this cafe. It was in the ferry terminal, so you'd get a lot of people rushing through trying to get their coffee as quick as possible and their breakfast and stuff, and they used to leave me on my own all the time. I don't know why. The manager was just like, okay, bye. So it was
trustworthy face.
16-year-old Conor, just on his own, absolutely no idea how to make a latte or whatever. I used to like pour froth on top of boiling hot coffee, thinking that was a cappuccino, and like burn people's mouths off. And I just remember this one time, and these 11 guys suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and they were all looking for like full fry-up breakfasts. And for some reason, I was just like, sure, I'll do that. And there was no cook or anything there, so I was running around the kitchen trying to turn on like all the deep fat fryers and everything, not even knowing how to turn the power on. So I was throwing frozen pieces of food into this cold vat of oil, and whatever way my brain worked back then, I couldn't bring myself to go out to the guys and just say like, I'm sorry, there's no cook in the kitchen, you can't have your breakfast today. So I just waited until they came over and complained. And after about 40 minutes, they were like, where's our food? And I was like, yeah, it's kind of in some cold oil in the back. And they got very angry at me. One of them looked like he was going to punch me, actually. And then I couldn't open the cash register to give them back their money because I had no idea how to do that. So it was just a complete disaster. So nobody should hire me as a waiter. Do not hire me as a waiter or a cook or any sort of manual labor. I'm the worst person ever. I just sit here and write my songs these days. That's my life now.
So there was Conor O'Brien of Villagers. That Golden Time is out now. Go and catch him on tour if you can later this month and through June in Europe and the UK. Cheers for listening. We put out 2 episodes every week, so if you subscribe, you'll be getting them delivered straight to you on Spotify or Apple, wherever you're listening to this. There's a load of range of stuff we have here, from heavier stuff to lighter stuff, stuff that's just good. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the people putting out these records and giving us these amazing stories. And cheers to our sponsors for allowing us to do these episodes. Cheers to DistroKid. If you're in a band or if you play music or you know someone who plays music and they're not sure how to put out their records on Spotify or Apple, DistroKid is the way to go. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod and you can get 30% off your first year. Join 1 million other users in putting out their own records, taking their music in their own hands and making back all the earnings of the royalties. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.
Everyone is talking about magnesium. It's all you hear about. But why? What do we know about magnesium? Well, magnesium is the #1 mineral that 75% of Americans are deficient in. If you are a woman over 35, magnesium will help you rediscover balance, energy, and vitality. Magnesium supports more than 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those involved in hormonal balance. From functional medicine doctors to mental well-being and female hormone experts, we all know that magnesium is the one mineral to improve all aspects of well-being and health. But which one? Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, the trusted choice recommended by leading experts with 7 best-absorbed forms of magnesium to ensure your body receives the support it needs for overall well-being. Go to bioptimizers.com/balance today and use code BALANCE10 for 10% off. Support your journey to wellness at bioptimizers.com/balance. Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, your foundation to optimal health and vitality.